Hey guys, this is FPL Tips and welcome back to another Fantasy Premier League video here on our channel. And in this video, we'll be reviewing every game of the game week. We will be shortly discussing how the game went, which was the most important player, how they played out, what the stats were, and which player to watch out from each game. So the first game of the game week was Watford versus Liverpool. Watford 0, Liverpool 5 with an XG of 3.5, which was great. We'll first talk about Watford because there's not a lot to talk about. I think Watford looked dangerous on the counters. They had chances. They were playing Sarr up top, which had a decent position. He also had one chance, which he stuck on the post, obviously. And this has been the case for Sarr the entire season. He has good places and good positions, but his finishing is really poor. His XG is always low. That's something to watch out for. The fixtures really turn around for Watford a lot, so it's going to be a tough time for Emery to actually get Watford through this tough fixture patch. I don't think I would keep any Watford player in my team. You probably can maybe still hold Sarr for another week, but I don't think he's a long-term hold with the fixtures coming up. Talking about Liverpool, Firmino had 3 goals, couldn't hat trick. He had 3 chances created and one big chance as well. He had an XA of about 0.59, so he had a decent overall game. What affected his game more was the positioning of the overall team. The team or the average position of every player in Liverpool team was skewed to the right hand side. Most of them was diverting or drifting to the right, which helped Firmino to make those runs beyond the defensive line of Watford. Also to note that Mane was playing way too deep than his usual position, which also allowed Firmino to drift left and get in the position where Mane used to get into. So I think these two factors really helped Firmino get that hat trick. He was obviously there in every important position that he had to be, but I think the average position of every player in this game really helped Firmino. Obviously, we have to talk about Mo Salah. He had 3 shots inside the box and 2 really important chances denied by Foster. I think both of them would have been goal, but then eventually he created a great chance for Mane with his left foot with the incredible pass cutting down the defense completely, and he scored that wonderful goal. I mean, we can keep talking about the goal obviously, but again, he had 3 chances created, one big chance, and an XA of 0.79, which is great for his player. Now he's not only getting big chances, he's not getting shots into the box, but he's also creating big chances. And he looks like a permanent captain for sure. I mean, even this week against United, I think you can easily captain him. And if you don't understand who to captain, I think he's the safest option available there. Also, need to address this that Trent had a decent game. He was not much ahead. He was stuck in the midfield. And I've also noticed this and addressed this before that he needs a player who can hold the bit on the right side to actually put out his best performance. I think if you want Trent's best potential to come out, you need a player who can hold the bit on the right wing side. Because Salah is going to cut in. He will get a lot of space between the right wing, the right wide line and Salah. So I think that's where he can exploit a lot, and the final third as well. A decent game, one chance created from Matip through a corner, but apart from that, not a lot. He hit the post, I think. But I think that's it from Trent. He could have had more points, but anyways, subbed off early, save for the Atletico Madrid game. Game number 2 was Southampton versus Leeds. Nothing from Leeds apart. He had 2 shots inside the box. Nothing at all in terms of big chances. Without Rafinha and Bamford, they look really poor. It was clearly visible. James did have a big chance. I mean, it's a chance at the end, not a big chance, which is kept wide. Obviously, apart from that, there was nothing from Leeds. They looked really lackluster, and I think Rafinha coming back next week would help their performance. But overall, it still concerns me. Their XG was 0.47. They were not creating, they're not holding the ball. Their pressing was slightly poor this game against Southampton. It's kind of a concern for me as a Rafinha owner, but I would still hold Rafinha for a longer period of time right now. Southampton, Armstrong was benched, was news for a lot of people. Broja was played over him, which was a great decision. He had 5 shots inside the box. He scored he created a chance from a corner for Armstrong. And overall, he displayed great performance. He was fast and he was running behind the defenders. He's someone to watch out for. Obviously, don't get him into your teams, not now at this stage. But again, down the line, maybe around game week 2019, if he's still starting and he's playing good, he could be one of those cheaper options that we're looking for. Apart from that, Redmond was an out of position striker. He was fast. He created 5 chances. He created 3 big chances as well. I think he created 1 big chances. He created 5 chances and had an XG of over 1. So, and even had an XG of 0.5. So that was a decent game by Redmond. Really looked really sharp. So if the fixtures turn around and James Ward-Prowse coming back into the team would help Redmond even more. I think Redmond could be an out of position player to look out for in the midfield, especially with Saka getting injured, Rafinha having not Leeds not performing a lot of the times. Everton assets also slightly underperforming. Looking at the game, Doucouré, Gray, Townsend. So you might be looking for other options, but Redmond could really fit into. Apart from that, there was nothing much to talk about the Southampton Leeds game. The second big game, third big game technically of the day was Manchester City versus Burnley. Uh, Again, Manchester City 2, Burnley 0. Most of us expected a very big thrashing from Manchester City, somewhere like a 4-0 or 5-0, but it wasn't the case. In fact, Burnley looked really, really sharp. They were putting pressure, they were counter-attacking whenever they got an opportunity. It looked like an open game for most parts of the time. Yes, obviously City had more possession and they're trying to control the game, but Burnley did put up a performance. If It clearly is visible when Pep puts out Diaz as a team, the City defense is not that stable as it looks like. So they do concede chances, they do concede big chances, and they could have conceded goals if would have not missed that sitter by the got at the end of the game as well. But Manchester City, we'll discuss every player. First of all, Mahrez. Decent game, had a big chance, should have scored, hit the post one as well. Uh, can't really say. I mean, it's typical Mahrez. You get him for a very big game where he's been performing where against who has been performing for a really long time and he fails. Has been the case. If you're a Mahrez owner, I would really, really recommend to sell him. He hasn't been up to the mark. It also makes him down the pecking order when Jesus is back. It is very obvious that Jesus would be preferred. Talking about someone in that position as well was Bernardo Silva. He was playing in a very floating role in a number 8. He was going on the left, he was going on the right as well. He was getting inside the box. He had, to be fair, 3 shots inside the box. He scored a tap in from a rebound in an XG of 1.4 and probably an XI of 0.4 if I'm correct. So he was racking up those numbers irrespective of what his position is starting, and he was floating around a lot. So you can see him on the wide line, you can see him on the left wing as well when Sterling was playing on the left side. Foden and Sterling, we'll discuss these players together for 2 reasons. Because most parts of the game, both of them are playing a very similar role. They're neither left wingers, neither false 9 players or strikers. Both of them did not do really well in either of the positions. They were shuffling around with their positions. For the first half, most of the parts, Sterling was a false 9, and the second half they switched positions. Something interesting is that Foden actually was much better in terms of stats than Sterling. Sterling did not have a lot of shots, but Foden had 2 shots inside the box and 1 rebound, which was scored by an assist, which Bernardo scored as a rebound. And apart from that, I don't remember any stats, and I don't see any stats as well over here. Sterling absolutely nowhere in the stats table. Had 1 chance, I think, which he scuffed. Apart from that, nothing. This also helps the case of Grealish Mahrez, which I want to present as well, that going ahead, I don't think either of them can play very well on the left wing. It was pretty eminent that both are much better in the false 9 role, where Foden is much better than Sterling, and I think it's very likely that Grealish gets into the team again next week for the left wing role. To add for Foden owners, what is interesting that even after he was switched from the false 9 role, he was played in the midfield role, which also suits well for him and bodes well for him. So you can expect at least 30 odd minutes every game from Foden, which is decent. But again, the debate rises: who's better, Foden or Jota? You can check that out. Check that comparison out on our Instagram page at fptus__ if you like that. We post such comparisons every week, and almost every day we put out a new FPL post. So if you're interested in such content, do follow us on Instagram as well. After that plugin, let's talk about Kevin De Bruyne. Had a very good game. 1 shot inside the box, 2 chances created, a goal and an assist almost there for him. But again, overall great game. He looked decent, but again, for his price, he does look overpriced at this moment at 11 million plus. I don't think he's justified, especially with no penalties with when Mahrez is playing. I would prefer to avoid him. Yes, he looks really in form, but again, not sure if he'll be the player you want at 11 million. Also, to address that, Stones looks dangerous on set pieces. Laporte also looks really dangerous on set pieces. I think whoever starts in the UCL game tonight is most likely the nailed on defender. I think it is Laporte, and Laporte will start against Brighton next week as well. Again, one big chance missed by Wood, as we already discussed. I do want to specially mention Cornet, who had a great game. He looks like a person to watch out for in the upcoming fixtures. And overall, Burnley have changed their philosophy into a very attacking side. They do not want to sit deep and just block and defend. I think they rely more on Pope now, and they want to attack and score more goals. So we can see against the easier fixtures that they score goals, and Cornet could be involved in a lot of them. Norwich's Brighton, nothing to discuss really. No player really stood out. I think Duffy and Dunk are 2 players you want to own from Brighton. Apart from that, there's Trossard, who's playing an out of position striker. He had 1 big chances, 2 chances created, which is decent for him. But again, they haven't been convincing really in terms of scoring goals. Again, it's typical Brighton. Norwich have put up 2 defensive performances, 2 decent defensive performances, but also to put context, they're against teams which are not great attacks. So I don't think you need to look a lot into Norwich defense. The Brighton defense looks decent. Again, you can own, probably should own Duffy at this moment if you don't. He had two chances again in the box. He had two shots, and he did make this clearance from the line again. I think it was Sargent shot, sorry, which Duffy cleared off the line. So that was also there. If he did not concede the yellow card, he would also have gotten 2 bonus, which is also something good when he's posting good numbers for the bonus points as well. So I think Duffy is the only player you want to own from Brighton at the moment. Even Mope, that did not impress me a lot in that game. Also, the fixtures get tough, so I don't know how reliable the Brighton attack would be in the upcoming games. The next game would Leicester versus Manchester United. We can keep talking about this game. Uh, Tactically speaking, United were nowhere, and I think a lot of that comes out from Ronaldo. He had a poor game. He had two chances, big chance too, and he had two shots inside the box, but he couldn't convert them. And especially the chance from Rashford, he should have scored that. But again, why I say Ronaldo is a big reason, because he's getting chances, he's not converting them, and also it leaves the team in a situation where he's not pressing high, neither is he dropping deep. So now United are stuck in a situation where they're not a deep block team, neither a high pressing team. There's somewhere lost in between, and one midfield pass, one vertical pass in the midfield is through, especially with Pogba and Matic playing there, or Pogba and McTominay playing there. I don't think those are the midfield options Ole should go for. It's probably a last chance for him against Liverpool, and it's high time he should start Van de Beek in that double pivot there down. But interesting player to note out from Manchester United was Bruno Fernandes. He created 7 chances. Although the XA was low, it was 0.42, but it was decent enough without any assist. Apart from the Greenwood, I think that was the only assist, but it was just a touch. But creating 7 chances in the game is huge. No shots inside the box, but again, Bruno is racking up better numbers than Ronaldo in terms of XGI. And I think if he is on penalties, he could be a genuine option in replacement from game week 14 when we're looking at United assets again through that fixture run. Maybe even a double up considering his price point at that stage. Greenwood had only one shot inside the box, hit 5 shots overall. Again, great goal, but a poor performance overall in terms of how he should have been drifting inside, how he should support Ronaldo. Sancho again had a poor performance. He had a minimal XA of 0.1 or 0.2, and he was nowhere involved in the game in terms of defending and tracking back for the team. When it comes to Leicester, obviously it was a masterclass by Vardy again. 2 shots inside the box. Again, he scored, and he was very clinical in terms of finishing. Again, you can see the goal. Tielemans also had a great game. Not just through the goal and through the passing, but through the passing he was making, the vertical through balls that he made, and the position he was in the game. If you see his pass map, you can clearly see he had made many vertical through balls, especially some to Madison as well and some to Iheanacho. It helps when you're transitioning, especially even events as well. When you're transitioning, such through balls really were cutting through the midfield of United, and it was very easy for Leicester to actually go through that phase. But it didn't look really tough for Leicester at that moment. Dak also looked very dangerous. If I read out his stats, he created one big chances. He had 3 shots inside the box and an XGI of 1.59. That was when he came on for the last 20 odd minutes from the bench. So he is really explosive. Now it becomes a dilemma, and for a lot of people who want to get Iheanacho or Vardy, I think Iheanacho has to be hold off till game week 12 for 2 reasons. One, we don't know how nailed he is, and will he start over Daka for all those games? If he does, then I think he's a great option in terms of Vardy, because he's putting up good numbers. He had 2 shots in the box, 2 chances created, and this was a quiet game for him. So when he gets going, he's going to get involved in those goals as well as usual. So I think if you can save that move till game week 12, you probably want to. Vardy looks clinical as usual. He's known to have a long goal scoring streaks. So now that he's scoring, you probably want to get him till the time he's scoring. And as soon as he stops scoring, you can take him off, because that's how Vardy has been playing for a lot of time. And it's a judgment call you take. His stats will never match up his goals record. He's obviously overperforming his XG by 2 goals or 3 goals at this stage, and he will continue to do so the entire season. So I think it's best to just go for it and take the chance on getting Vardy. Maybe definitely over Ronaldo, and even there's a genuine case to get him over Lukaku as well. Next game, Aston Villa versus Wolves, an XG of probably 1 or combined XG of 3, but combined goals fest of 5 goals. Traoré missed a big chance when he dribbled past 5 players. That was the only big chance he had, but again, a great dribble by him, but no finishing. He did get the assist for the free kick he won for Ruben Neves, but didn't really impress me overall in the game. You probably want to sell him off something like Mbuemo. If you can't, maybe someone to Townsend or a Gray, but I don't think he's a hold for a much longer period of time. Huang had a quiet game as well. He had one shot inside the box and XG of zero point 0.2. Without Jimenez, he did look lost. I think the connection between Huang and Jimenez is very important for him to score. Something also noticed about Huang that he played in a false nine role in this game. So it looks like the Bruno Lage has come to a philosophy where he wants a false nine player, which usually will be Jimenez, which also it's not a false nine. It's not a City false nine who's getting inside the box a lot. It's something like a Firmino role who's dropping deep and making those passes and creating chances. So I don't think when Jimenez is back and when he starts, he's going to get inside the box a lot. He will get inside the box. Obviously, eventually he'll score goals. He's on penalties, I think the more output will be through assist and rather not through goals. That's something that could happen for Jimenez as well. But again, Hang, if we talk about him, he's in decent positions but not exceptional positions. So he's taking shots from awkward angles and will highly rely on his finishing skill rather than good positions and high XGOT shots. That's something you can also note down from that game. And Semedo was again high up the pitch, created one chance. And again, Saiz proved out to be the defender out of the lot because he will be there every time Wolves go for a set piece and try to score from a set piece. So that's something you can note out from that as well. When you talk about Villa, Ings had a decent game. Yes, they had two big chances. He scored one of them. The other chance was a very big chance as well. He had an XG of 0.7 from that chance and he should have scored. But again, he chose to hit it on the right side of Sa, which was easily saved. Watkins also had a decent game. He has a link up play with Ings. So basically, Ings is going ahead. Watkins is drifting wide and dropping deep and if required. So if you had to pick between the two strikers, you probably want to go to Ings at this stage. He probably will be on penalties as well. Between Watkins and Ings, it's very easy Ings at this stage. But again, if you have Watkins and you want to sell him, I think this is the perfect game to sell him to someone like a Tony, which we will discuss in the next segment and the next game. But again, decent game by Watkins and Ings. Apart from that, Cash looked decent. He did get off with a knock, but he's someone you can look upon in the future games because he's playing way too up high the pitch. And I think the defense of Villa was also shaky. They will change around their defense. Their defense with Konza House, everyone is not working. Maybe Tonzebe gets another chance, but for now it looks decent and settled. Bundia had a good impact. He created two big chances. He created two chances and two small chances as well. He had two shots outside the box as well. So it looks like a fresh start from Bundia, and he might be seen starting more often in the Villa team. Next up was Brentford versus Chelsea. I think it was a very unlucky game for Brentford for not scoring that game. Chelsea were also lucky to score only with the one shot they had inside the box from Chilwell. And again, Lukaku had a poor game. He did not really have a poor game. He had one big chance. He scored an offside goal. He should have scored that one goal. He shot up above the post. He should have scored that one as well. So it's not that he's getting into bad positions. It's just like his finishing is going bad, which has always been the case with Lukaku. He's not a exceptionally great finisher. So it's just about that one goal he probably can get against Norwich. The fixtures are too kind for Lukaku. I don't recommend him selling. You guys selling him. I think it's very necessary that you hold on to him and keep him for the next three fixtures, and then look at the likes of someone like a Vardy or maybe a Kane, especially Kane. Because the fixtures are too kind and he's getting into chances. He's also underperforming his XG by 1.29. So it states that he's there in those chances. He's taking the shots. It's just about those conversion or probably those moments. I think he'll get those. He'll get those correct as well. He's been creating chances, not big chances as well, not just getting big chances. I think if not a goal, he'll definitely get an assist anytime soon. But again, from Chelsea, there was nothing apart from that. Yes, Chilwell played and Sarr played. Rudiger was not there. There was no James. Eventually, James will play as well, but can't discuss this about the game. I think the only player that needs to be discussed from the Chelsea side is Mendy. The only reason Chelsea did not concede was probably Mendy. And that's it from Brentford. Yes, Tony Mbeumo again, great games. Two shots inside the box for Tony again. Two chances created by Tony again. Decent number of penalty area touches as well. He does drift out wide and collect the balls a lot, but again, he's very important and essential in those set pieces. He's a target man. He's on penalties as well. I think he's one of the best forwards. Looking at the Brentford fixtures ahead to buy this week, even with Leicester, I think Leicester look very shaky in terms of defense. I don't think they'll go for a back five against Brentford. They might stick to a back four, and then that could be a much more open game for Brentford as well overall. Brentford, again, home fixtures for Brentford are something to target in terms of doubling up on them. So I think in the next 5 fixtures or 6 fixtures, you can definitely double up on Mbeumo and Tony. Looks like a decent combination. Someone to mention from that game was Pinnock. He had one shot inside the box, 3 chances and one big chance created. So did really stand out. Jansen was also sharing set piece duty, which was also something to monitor out, that he's really cheap. Pinnock is obviously also cheap, and you can target him as a defender at that price point. Apart from that, nothing in that game. Obviously, they were unlucky to not score and take anything out of that game. Newcastle versus Spurs after the takeover of Newcastle. This was a game where Newcastle started and dominated very well in the first half. They were predominantly attacking from the left side because Saint Maximin plays there and everything was coming through that side. And Wilson scored a very fantastic goal, and he scored a Wilson SQ goal like he always does. He's there in the numbers, and we discussed this talisman theory where whenever Newcastle score, it's more or less likely that Wilson will be involved. So he could be an option once the fixtures get better. For now, he's probably not because there are better options available. But again, apart from that, ASM had a quiet game. He had some dribbles, not a lot of chances created apart from that one chance. Shelby got a double yellow and a red due to that. Joelinton had a very quiet game. Richie looks really up the pitch. He's the best defender in terms of crosses, in terms of chances created, and he's really had the pitch. He has also the most touches in the final third. But again, the conversion rate is really poor. The cross conversion rate is very poor, and the cross successful rate is also very poor. So in terms of an asset, I don't think Richie is still an asset. It's better to avoid Richie, and Newcastle also not defensively that great, which we saw in the Spurs game where Spurs turned around very easily against Newcastle. Talking about Spurs, Harry Kane finally scored in the Premier League. Something to note of the Harry Kane performance, that he was not very deep. He was playing much high. He was not dropping deep in that game. He was playing as a proper striker in that game. He had an XG of 1.12, had two chances, had two shots, and he was also on direct set pieces and free kicks. Something to look at again from that perspective, from buying Kane perspective, because I think if you're looking for a premium striker in the market, maybe a replacement to Ronaldo, I think if you're not going Lukaku, I would definitely go Kane, because I think even with the fixtures, he can easily score in all of them. Son again had one shot inside the box, the tap, and he scored. He looked decent. He did not have a lot of touches inside the box. He was majorly in terms of creating chances. He created three chances, and I think one big chances. But apart from that, he was majorly on set pieces, and that was his contribution in the game. As of now, if I had to pick one, I would definitely pick Kane over Son because of the threat he has, and the fact that Son is actually driving the game. He's dropping much more deep than he was usually. In previously, Son was ahead and Kane was deep, and Son was released on counter attacks. For the last two games, Kane has been playing much higher up the pitch, especially the last one against Newcastle, and it looks like Kane will be launched and played as a striker much more often. A special mention was Ndombele. He had 5 shots, 4 inside the box, and would definitely should have scored in that game. He looks like a decent option going ahead if he continues to play in a similar position and gives up similar performances. He looks like the missing jigsaw puzzle piece that Spurs were missing out in that midfield. He looks like the player who would carry the midfield and would connect the dots. Previously, there was no one between the defensive line and Son and Kane. Now it looks like Ndombele could play that role. Reguilon had one chance created. There was nothing from Reguilon in terms of chance creation or anything in the game. Everton West Ham, typical game, expected it to be low scoring game. West Ham had decent chances. Antonio still doing decent over an XG over of 1.5. One big chance, 3 shots inside the box, 3 chances created. So had a decent game, probably unlucky as well to not get involved and not score as well. Benrahma had a good game. Bowen had a good game as well, both having 3 shots inside the box, 1 chance created each. Bowen had one big chance created as well. Between the two, it looks like just pick and stick situation. Although long term, it looks like West Ham's attack is deteriorating. They're not as great as they were. They still racked up a decent XG of 1.76 in this game, but again, long term, it looks like you want to offload some of these West Ham players. Maybe if you're on double up with the Benrahma and Antonio, you want to downgrade Benrahma first and then Antonio. Another important point to note that is Benrahma is getting into positions ahead of Antonio. He was playing just behind Antonio, much ahead of any other West Ham player. So you can do the other way around as well, where if you don't have a possible replacement for Benrahma, you can offload Antonio first and then get Benrahma offloaded later, because there are a lot more forward options in that price point in comparison to midfield options that around the price point of Benrahma. Cresswell also created one big chance with an XGI of 0.78, which was the only big chance he created or any chance created in the game. Souček obviously had his goal ruled out after being offside. Apart from that, they were decent on set pieces. It looked like Everton were exploited of their weakness of defending such set pieces and long hanging balls. Pickford obviously looked weak against those balls, and West Ham scored in that game. From the Everton point of view, Townsend Gray both looked decent, creating 3 chances each, 5 shots. in total between them. Dukure looked like a box to box man. He's also been rumored to have broken a foot or something like that. So watch out for that news on Friday of how Rafa says how fit he is or not. Another important point to note out for that is that Coleman was much higher up the pitch than Digne in the game, so which also helped Townsend's performance because Townsend could overlap, go much deeper, or even cut inside to put in crosses. He put in a very delicious cross for Rondon, which Rondon missed. He should have scored. I think if it was DCL or Richarlison, they would have scored. So Coleman pushing up high up the pitch also helps Townsend performance, and I still think Townsend is much better than Gray. Ducour in terms of his performance, he was slightly tacked into a much deeper role this time because it wasn't maybe because it was against West Ham, it was a tactical change. But overall, I think long term it's either Townsend or Ducour, more likely to be Ducour. Nothing apart from that game, and the Arsenal Crystal Palace game was the last game of the game week. Aubameyang scored from his only shot inside the box from a Pepe deflection. Lacazette was the man who looked like the lively game changer. He had two chances created, three shots inside the box in the last 15 minutes, and even scored. So yeah, he definitely was the game changer for Arsenal. Apart from that, Tierney was obviously higher up the pitch than Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu was slightly deeper as expected. Uh, Saka was out due to knock, because I think it was because of the injury he had just before the halftime whistle went off. Apart from that, Odegaard had a decent game. Smith Rowe had a decent game. No chance. Smith Rowe created one chances and one shot inside the box, but apart from that, he was pretty much quiet. Crystal Palace looked defensively weak. Yes, Zaha was out, so the attack impetus was not there. I think if Zaha would have played this game, he would definitely have increased the team strength, and they would have scored on counters as well. The other I mentioned from Crystal Palace, obviously Edward, two shots inside the box, two chances created, and a goal as well. Gallagher was a box-to-box midfield, nothing much to offer from. He played in the number 10 role. He had three shots all outside the box, but nothing in terms of goal conversion or chance creation at all. That is it from this game week. I know it's a very long video. I'll probably you are seeing this in two parts. I must have divided this video in two parts. If I have not, I'm really sorry. You have to watch such a long video. But yes, timestamps have been mentioned down below. You can skip and go back and forth with any team. I think we've discussed majority of the players and how players I expect them to be. And if you have not missed out any game, I think this game week review should have helped and would put out a very clear picture of how the game went and how the teams played. Anyways, if you like this video, do hit the like button. We've taken a lot of efforts to make such videos. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon as well. It will notify you when we go live and create more videos. Anyways, this is FPTF signing off. Cheers.